Hello, hi, happy New Year. Little a few minutes late, little delayed, a few technical problems. So sorry about that. So happy New Year. I'm David Whiting, and welcome to episode 12 of the Sin City Pixel KO podcast. We're here in Las Vegas, and today we're going to be talking about is your white collar job at risk? The great white collar replacement has already begun. Looking and being at CES last week, I thought it would be very important to talk about this topic this week with all of the physical AI talk and all of the technology talk. I thought it was a very good time to bring this topic to the forefront. So you're live with me here. I'm David Whiting. Thank you for joining me. So we're going to be talking about the different factors that are going on with the changes that are currently being experienced in the job market. There's a lot of uh, tumult going on in the job market. We're going to go over that, and we're going to go over some different five different um, positions in white collar that are currently being undergoing a lot of changes right now. So welcome to the Sin City Pixel Podcast Show. We're talking today about technology, and we're going to start and get things off and kick things off right now. So welcome and thank you for joining me. So let's just get right into it. So basically, what's going on is the great white collar replacement has begun. The era of the purely cognitive white collar job is fading. For decades, many of us believed that as long as we worked with our minds, our jobs were secure. That belief is now being seriously challenged. The great white collar replacement is starting, and it's not just about unseen software anymore. It's about intelligent robots that are beginning to appear in our workplaces. So, in today's podcast, we're going to be counting down the five key professions that experts predict will be among the first to be reshaped by physical AI. And the future is here, and it's starting to clock in for work today. So, we've gone through an inflection point. So, the question really isn't just what happened. The real question is why now? So for years, we've talked about automation in abstract terms, a slow tide that would gradually reshape the economy. But what we're witnessing now feels less like a rising tide and more like a dam breaking. There's a lot of people who are going through a lot of job changes, people coming out of school can't really find very employable positions. So this is the moment where two powerful technologies, advanced artificial intelligence and increasingly sophisticated humanoid robotics, are finally merging in meaningful ways. So for the last decade, AI lived behind our screens. It was like a brilliant brain in a jar, an algorithm, a chatbot, a disembodied voice like Alexa. It could write an email or analyze a spreadsheet, but it couldn't stock a shelf, inspect a piece of machinery, or hand you a document. That fundamental limitation created a kind of firewall protecting millions of jobs that required even the slightest physical interaction with the real world. That firewall is now beginning to dissolve. The brain is getting a body. This is the new reality of 2026. The humanoid robot is transitioning from a laboratory curiosity into an industrial prototype. So consider the new generation of Boston Dynamics Atlas unveiled for commercial use. This just isn't the research project you saw doing backflips in viral videos. The new all-electric Atlas is a enterprise grade machine. with initial fleets being tested by partners like Hyundai on the factory floor. It's designed to lift, carry, and manipulate objects in complex, real world environments. This just isn't a demo anymore, it's a dress rehearsal for a wider deployment. And meanwhile, a titan of industry, of course, Tesla, is pouring its manufacturing and AI expertise into its own humanoid robot, Optimus. While many public statements are aspirational, they reveal a massive ambition. Elon Musk has spoken of a long-term goal for the robot to eventually cost around $20,000 to $30,000 US, with hopes to mass produce units in the coming years. These are for now targets, not promises, but they signal a clear direction from one of the world's most powerful manufacturing companies. The future of some labor may be humanoid, and we have to make sure that we are aware of that. And there's other players like 1X are marketing their Neo robots with a roadmap aimed at both commercial and eventually domestic help. Their vision is a clean. Their vision is clear and clean, a general purpose robot that can perform a growing number of tasks. This convergence is creating a powerful feedback loop. It's like a student who gets smarter with every book they read, which allows them to read more, advanced books even faster. Smart, Smarter AI gives the robots a more powerful brain, and a better robotic hardware gives the AI hands and feet to act in the real world. The result is a new category of worker, an artificial one that can both think and do. Some financial analysts, while highly speculative, paint a staggering picture of this new economy. So there's financial analysts at Morgan Stanley. They floated high-end scenarios where the market for humanoid robots could grow into multi-trillion-dollar industry. Uh, that's really high end. That's on the high end, and that's long term. This isn't just a story about software anymore. This is a story about the physical embodiment of intelligence, and it's about to trigger a major workforce transition, starting with jobs once thought that were safe. So we're going to begin our countdown, like I said, with a role that has. We're going to go a countdown. We're going to do five different jobs that with a role that has been the bedrock, and we'll start with a role that's been the bedrock of corporate life for generations. So as we do this countdown, 5%. We're going to talk about five professions that are on the brink. So let's start off with number five: administrative and office support roles. So, for as long as there's been offices, there's been administrative professionals. The office clerks, the executive assistants, and the support staff. They are the human operating system of a company. Think of them as master plate spinners, skillfully juggling a dozen different tasks at once. Scheduling meetings, managing documents, handling data entry, and fielding calls, incoming and outgoing. And their role was never about one difficult task, but about the masterful juggling of a thousand simple ones. And that is precisely what makes it so vulnerable, unfortunately, in this day and age. So, this first wave of this change was silent and digital. So, for years, AI software has been steadily chipping away at the core duties of this profession. We saw case studies emerge from major corporations using AI to automate parts of their hiring and document processing, drastically cutting down on manual administrative work. These AI systems could perform repetitive, predictable cognitive tasks faster, cheaper, and with fewer errors. This was already a threat, but the human assistant was still essential for anything physical. But now the AI couldn't set up the conference room for a board meeting. It couldn't escort a visiting client to the lobby. Couldn't receive a physical package, ensure it got to the right desk. The human assistant remained the final physical link in the chain, the one person who could actually spin the physical plates. But now enter the humanoid robot. And imagine a robot like 1X Neo, which has a development roadmap geared toward performing chores and general tasks in the office. This changes everything. The same AI that schedules the meeting in Outlook could one day dispatch a robot to physically arrange the chairs and set up the projector. The AI that processes an invoice might send a robot to the mailroom to retrieve a check. The AI that manages the corporate directory could have a robot create a visitor and a guide could could have a robot greet a visitor and guide them to their destination. So the line between the digital to-do list and its physical execution is blurring. The job of an administrative assistant becomes less a collection of human managed activities and more a series of automated routines. The human plate spinner is now replaced by a central AI system that has robotic hands to manage the physical task itself. And that's the result is that the role of the office support specialist is being consolidated. The company might not need five assistants for five managers, perhaps one AI office management system supervised by a person managing a small fleet of robotic units. So the job as we know it, a human dedicated solely to these tasks, starts to evaporate. It's replaced by a utility as seamless and essential as the office Wi Fi. So, number four job that's in danger in white collar is content writers and copywriters. So, creativity was really supposed to be our last line of defense. So, the ability for a human to weave words into a compelling narrative, to understand human emotion, to craft a message that resonates, this was the moat that would protect writers from automation. Well, that moat is really starting to get really shallow now. And what we have now is that the assumption that work was uniquely human is now being aggressively challenged. So, we want to see that it's like comparing a master artisan to um, who carves one beautiful sculpture a week to a factory that can print 1,000 decent looking statues in a day. For many buyers, um, the 1,000 good enough statues are a better business decision. That's not for everyone, but for some people it is. So some businesses it is. The tools enabling this are now household names. Chat GPT, for example, um, for text, Mid-Journey for images, Synthesia for video avatars, HeyGen, I use HeyGen. These are being employed to help create entire marketing campaigns. Surveys from 2024 and 2025, they show that a large amount of marketers were using or planning to use AI in content creation. And the reason a role seems so nuanced, it comes down to brutal economic calculation, scale, and optimization. A human copywriter can spend a day crafting three great headlines. An AI can generate 3,000 in a few seconds. It can help run live A/B tests, measure click-through rates, and um, identify the top performers and generate thousands of variations based on the winners. Now, this machine isn't trying to be creative like a human artisan. It's a factory optimized. It's a factory optimizing for a metric. It's optimizing for engagement. It learns what engages an audience faster than any human can. And so, what we're looking at now is that creates a dilemma for businesses. And what Do you pay for one beautifully crafted article that might perform well, or do you use AI to help generate 50 articles uh, for a fraction of the cost? And you know, right now for a huge number of businesses, the choice is obvious. Good enough content is produced at scale. Now, people are really worried more about, and businesses are worried about getting things up to scale. And right now, so what we want to, that's something where a lot of what's going on now is that could really is causing a lot of problems in the market. So as we are going through, we want to make sure that you remember to like and subscribe, and offer any comments that you may have. We'd be welcome to listen to your comments and listen to what you have and what your thoughts are. So make sure you like and subscribe and stay tuned, and so you can hear more of these shows. And we thank you for being on and joining us. So um, you know good enough content produced at scale is often more valuable than a single piece of perfect content that no one ever sees. So, human writers are being priced out of the market for bulk content. The jobs that involve writing basic SEO, blog posts, product descriptions, and social media updates are becoming the digital equivalent of a assembly line. And the role of the writer isn't disappearing, but it's being forced up the value chain. The demand is shifting from the person who can generate 500 words to the strategist who can design a content campaign, the AI prompter who can coax a brilliant first draft out of the machine, and the editor who can provide the final 10% of polish and human insight that turns a generic piece into a great one. The craft is shifting from pure generation to curation and strategy, but the sheer volume of jobs at the base of this pyramid is eroding at a terrifying pace. The second one. Number three, white collar job is financial traders and analysts. The Florida New York Stock Exchange is an icon of capitalism, a theater of frantic energy. For many decades, the financial analyst was seen as a modern day gladiator armed with intuition. That archetype is being rendered obsolete by the cold logic of the machine. The core function of an analyst is to process data to predict the future. A human analyst is like someone trying to forecast the weather by looking out a window and feeling the wind. They read earnings reports, track market indices, monitor news to guess if a stock will go up or down based on their background and their reports. But the human mind, for all its brilliance, has a limited view. AI does, and AI, on the other hand, does the same job. But it's like a global network of satellites, weather stations, and supercomputers analyzing every atmospheric particle on the planet simultaneously. It can read every earnings report, analyze every tick of market data, and monitor millions of news feeds in real time, correlating a drought in Brazil with coffee futures in London. It does this 24/7 without emotion or fatigue. This advantage is no longer theoretical. So, a Gartner survey in 2024 found that AI adoption by finance teams have jumped to 58%, with projections that 90% will use at least one AI enabled solution by 2026. The powerful incentive is simply, the economic incentive is simply too powerful. Using the AI to augment a team of six-figure analysts not only has the potential to improve in performance, but to dramatically reduce overhead. This is changing the skills required to succeed. The job is less about having the best gut feeling and reading reports, and more about being able to design and manage the AI systems that are watching the global weather patterns of the market. The hot jobs are increasingly for quants, the mathematicians, and the programmers who create the trading the algorithms. The value is shifting from interpreting the data to designing the machine that interprets the data. So if to clarify that, that's where the value is in the new jobs. The human element is being relegated to a supervisory role, managing the AI and intervening in true black swan events that models couldn't predict. The day-to-day work of market analysis is being systematically handed over to algorithms. The Wall Street trader is being replaced by a silent server rack in a data center, like you see it in the picture behind NVIDIA. It's executing thousands of trades a millisecond, driven by intelligence that never sleeps. And then, so the number two job that's being threatened and is at risk is software engineers and computer programmers, believe it or not. There's a deep irony in the fact that the very people who built our digital world are now at risk of being automated by it. It's as if master carpenters spent years inventing a magical self-building hammer. At first, it helps them work faster, but soon anyone can pick up the hammer and build a simple chair without years of training. The value shifts from knowing how to swing the hammer to knowing how to design a complex house. So we're, like you said, these jobs are being upscaled, and with more skills needed. The disruption is coming from generative AI. Large language models have become astonishingly good at writing code. Code is, after all, another language, and AI is an expert linguist. Developer communities are already living this reality. So, a 2025 Stack Overflow survey found that 84% of developers are now using AI tools in their workflow. For many developers, it has become indispensable. But a tool that makes work easier can also replace the work itself. So, the first roles to feel the pressure are the entry level ones, as we can see in the job market, the reflections in the job numbers. The junior developer, whose job is often to write straightforward functions, is performing tasks that AI now handles with remarkable competence. Why hire a recent graduate to write simple code when AI can generate it instantly? So we're starting to see some effects in the job market, as like I was mentioning. So we've been seeing anecdotal reports from developers on social media describe a brutally competitive market. We've seen some stats from some news articles, from financial articles. And while broader economic factors are at play, some companies are slowing down their hiring for roles that could be augmented by these new tools. So a lot of employers are slowing down their hiring because they're not sure where all this fits in yet. So they don't want to hire people because they're not sure if they're going to have them replaced by AI later this year. So they're not really starting. They're not. The hiring is really starting to slow down in the entry level, on the entry level for people who are coming out of college. It's pretty rough for them. So community analysts suggest a path where much of a developer's day, the routine typing and debugging, could be automated away. This doesn't mean the end of software development, but it does signal a major shift. The value is rapidly moving from the person who can write code to the person who can architect systems. The demand will be for the product visionary who defines what the software should do, the system architect who designs the complex application, and the senior engineer who guides the AI hammer to build it. The craft is becoming one of problem definition, system design, and AI orchestration. The person whose primary skill is just translating instructions into lines of code is in a precarious position. Their craft is being commoditized by a machine that can do it faster and cheaper. Those are the facts. The creators are, in a very real sense, being forced to evolve by their own creation. And it's almost kind of like Frankenstein, almost. um, and the number one job that is at risk is on site operations and logistic coordinators. So we arrived at the number one spot. This role represents a major frontier for automation. This is where the cognitive power of AI merges with the physical world. This is the world of the on site operation and logistics coordinator. And what we're seeing in those positions, and we're seeing that we know this is a crucial white collar job. It doesn't just happen entirely behind a desk. It's the brain of a physical operation. It's a factory, a port, a distribution center. These coordinators are degree educated planners. Think of them as field mechanics, field medics on a chaotic battlefield. They walk the floor, identify bottlenecks, reroute shipments, and troubleshoot problems in real time, running from fire to fire and patching things up in person. Their job is a constant blend of cognitive analysis and physical presence. And for decades, this role was untouchable. You could automate warehouse robots, but you needed a human to bridge the gap between the clean data and the computer and the messy reality on the floor. You needed someone to see a problem and physically fix it. And that human bridge is what humanoid robots are now being designed to become. I saw it just a few days ago at CES. I just saw this job being replaced with a lot of different examples. This is the commercial destiny of a machine like Boston Dynamics Atlas. Forget the backflips. The new industrial prototype is already being tested in a Hyundai factory, sorting parts for the assembly line. This machine has advanced vision, arms capable of lifting heavy objects, and an AI brain connected to the facility's database. So here's what that could mean. The human coordinator is a medic on the ground. The robot is central command with the ability to teleport. In the future, an alert that a shipment is missing a part doesn't need to go to a human. A robot could walk to the container, scan its contents, identify the discrepancy, locate a replacement in the database, and physically retrieve it. The entire problem solving loop, detect, analyze, decide, and act, could be executed by one autonomous agent. That's really remarkable. And the human coordinator's job is entirely reshaped. The cognitive task, the analyzing the data, and the physical task, walking the floor, are fused inside one machine. The vision is for the robot to become the on site coordinator. It wouldn't report its findings to a manager, it would update the system and take corrective action itself, closing the loop between the digital plan and physical reality. And this is the literal embodiment of the great white collar replacement. It's not just a algorithm replacing a task. It's a physical entity replacing a professional role. The human job is an on-site problem solver. Um, is redefined when the system can solve its own problems. This is an ultimate example of AI moving to become the physical participant, taking on a role that required not just a brain, but a body. And you're watching the Sin City Pixel KO podcast, and we're wrapping up, and we're talking about the new landscape. So if these jobs are on the brink, why are we heading for a white collar bloodbath? The data suggests a more complicated story. Think of the invention of the automobile. It was a disaster for blacksmiths and horse breeders. Remember? Maybe you don't, but you've seen a lot of videos on the Industrial Revolution and how that changed a lot of jobs in the Industrial Revolution. But it didn't destroy work. It changed the map of work entirely. It created millions of jobs in manufacturing, road construction, and gas stations. We're at a similar threshold as they were in the Industrial Revolution back over 130, 140 years ago. So, major economic bodies have been studying this. Now, the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report projected that technological shifts could displace about 92 million roles by 2030, but it is also projected the creation of 170 million new jobs in the same period. Similarly, a widely discussed analysis from Goldman Sachs estimated that AI could impact the equivalent of 300 million full time jobs globally. But the key word is impacted, not eliminated. It means jobs will change, not that all 300 million will vanish. The displacement will be real and painful. But the question is not how to stop the change, but how to prepare for the new landscape. So we're going to go over a few things to see what you can do to take some action and protect yourself and become more reliable and make sure you don't lose your job. Is the first non-negotiable skill is AI fluency. In the past 2 years, job posting mentioning AI skills have skyrocketed. This is the new digital literacy. Not knowing how to collaborate with AI in the near future will be like not knowing how to use a web browser or send an email today. It means becoming a master of prompting, managing digital assistants, and developing the critical thinking to evaluate AI generated work. Second, we must double down on the skills that remain uniquely human. As AI handles routine analysis, the premium on human creativity, complex problem solving, and emotional intelligence will go up. And AI can optimize a known process, but it can't invent a new business model yet. It can manage a workflow, but it can't inspire a team or provide genuine, empathetic leadership. These soft skills are becoming the hard currency of the new economy. More human cooperation and teamwork between humans. Finally, we must look into the new job categories that are being born from this revolution. They are roles that are being hired for today, and these are some of them. AI ethics specialists are needed to ensure these powerful systems are fair and in line with human values. Robot fleet managers will be new supervisors, supervising autonomous workers in factories and warehouses. You're going to have AI human interaction designers who will specialize in creating seamless collaboration between human and machine teams. And AI cybersecurity researchers will be on the front lines, protecting our increasingly autonomous world from new threats as this data just propagates in a lot of different hardware and is everywhere. The future of work is not a battle of man versus machine. It's going to be a partnership. The roles that are disappearing are those that involve repetitive tasks. The roles that are emerging are those that are going to require us to be more strategic, more creative, and ultimately more human. So, as people are thinking about trying to um, go and trying to get different tasks for people who are blue collar, and which is great. Those blue collar jobs, we're not talking about them today, but a lot of people are stressing for people to go to college, not to go to college, but to get blue collar jobs that are hands on and more human touch and more involved with human to human. You have to be careful there, and you have to see that there is going to be opportunity for more education. It's just going to be a different type of education, and the education system's going to have to catch up to what's needed to interact for these new jobs. So, what we're going to talk about as we wrap up, in conclusion, the great white collar replacement is not a distant prediction. Just like I was just saying this last week at CES, it's a present reality. All over the floors, the show floors, it's definitely a reality. The fusion of advanced AI and robotics has started a chain reaction that will redefine professional work. The roles of the administrator, the writer, analyst and programmer, and on site coordinator are being transformed. But this is not the end of the story. It's the end of a chapter where value was derived from performing routine tasks. The new era demands our creativity, critical thinking, and leadership and teamwork. It demands that we evolve from being cogs in a machine to being the architects of the systems themselves. The nature of work is changing like it always has. It's not ending. The challenge is immense, but the opportunity is even greater. The question is no longer if this change will happen, but how we will lead it. The future just doesn't happen to us. It's built by the choices we make today. The choice to learn, to adapt, and embrace a new kind of collaboration with the intelligent machines we've created. And that's why we want to make sure that people are staying ahead of the curve and understand how this is changing uh, the job market today, and understand how to navigate this new world of work. Make sure, we want to thank you for liking and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. We're going to be tracking this evolution. I've been doing some different podcasts on this, so we're going to keep coming up with this. We're going to keep uh, writing and talking about this topic, so you don't want to miss what comes next. So we want to thank you for joining me today. I want to thank you for joining me today for uh, White Collar Replacement Has Begun podcast. This is show episode 12 of our first season of the Sin City Pixel KO Vegas podcast. There's going to be a lot of jobs in sports and esports that are going to be affected by this also. We'll go into some of those specifics on sports and esports and technology. You can see on sports and esports already, you can see how next gen stats are affecting what you watch on TV. That's all AI. All that's AI that you see. You see a lot of you see AI every day when you're watching sports and esports. All the technology that's coming in, that's affecting everything that we're involved with. There's going to be job changes there. There's going to be opportunities, just like there was in the Industrial Revolution. Like we said, between the horse and buggy and the car, there's going to be, now we're going through the same change. So it's kind of exciting, but it's kind of, I guess it's frightening and exciting at the same time for people to go through this. So that's why we want to make sure that we're doing these podcasts, and we're keeping you informed, because the more you know, the less you're going to be fearful of the future, and you can take advantage. And then the more you know, you're going to be able to take advantage of the future and the present, because this is happening right now. Like I said, CES was really mind blowing to see the physical AI this year, and so I'll be able to have more content on and stories from what I saw at the CES. So stay tuned. You'll see some more articles on my Substack, and you'll see some more videos like this. So we're being broadcast, and we're on multiple platforms. So we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, and we are on X, and we're on LinkedIn. And so we want to make sure that you can find us anywhere that you are. We're going to try to be there. So once again, I want to thank you for joining me. And you were live with David Whiting. And we want to thank you for coming on with me. And thank you for checking out the Sin City Pixel KO podcast. And have a great day, and we'll see you soon.